Hi everyone, welcome to your Egyptian unit, and in coordination with this Camlic, we are going to make some canopic jars together. What are canopic jars, you may ask? Let's watch this video and find out.
The ancient Egyptians believed their pharaoh's body had to remain intact in order to reach the afterlife. So they took elaborate steps to ensure their ruler's body would not decompose. The Egyptians developed a special embalming process called mummification. Embalming is the technique of preparing a body so it can be preserved. Only the pharaoh and his closest advisors were mummified because the Egyptians believed only gods could live in the afterlife. Poor people were buried in the desert, where the hot, dry sand quickly dried out their bodies. The most elaborate Egyptian mummification process took about 70 days and included great ceremonies. Embalmers cut the body on the side to remove the intestines, liver, stomach, and lungs. They wrapped the organs in linen and stored them in sacred canopic jars. The Egyptians believed different gods would protect the organs in the afterlife, so the lids of the 4 jars depicted the animal associated with the guardian of that organ. The canopic jars were safely stored so the pharaoh could use his organs in the afterlife. There was no jar for the heart. The Egyptians believed the heart held the pharaoh's soul, so the embalmers left that organ inside the body. The Egyptians did not understand the importance of the brain, so priests removed it by inserting a special hook through the nostrils. The hook was swished around, allowing embalmers to remove the mummy's brain through the nose.
Now, what to do with the body organs that are left over from the mummification? We all know the brain is useless because it gets pulled and scrambled through the nose. We just throw it away. The 4 main organs we keep are the liver, the intestines, the stomach, and the lungs. They are preserved and put into 4 canopic jars. These canopic jars are normally made of clay, and each top has the head of a different god. The jar with the human head represents the god Imseti, who guards the liver, while the jar with the falcon's head represents the god Kebsuneth, who looks after the intestines. The other jar tops have the head of the jackal, which is Duametev, who looks after the stomach. And finally, the lungs go into the jar with the baboon head, which is the god Harpy, who guards the lungs. These jars are then put into a canopic chest and placed into the tomb close to the mummy, so the organs can be used by the mummy in the afterlife.
Now that you've watched those fantastic videos and know what canopic jars are, seeing that the Egyptians had individual jars to put in the stomach, the intestine, the lungs, and the liver, we're going to make our own. So why don't we see what tools we're going to need. We're going to use a few clay tools. We're going to use some water, possibly a sponge to share with a neighbor, and of all else, you're going to need some clay so we can make these ceramic jars. Now, the Egyptians had specific gods that had specific tasks with each of the jar. You, unlike the Egyptians, are going to get to design your own. So while you're making the bottom, you should be considering what animal you would like to put on the top. Now, your animal can be anything that you can create. It does not have to be a living animal. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to take the clay and I'm going to tear it in half, seeing as my jar needs a lid and a bottom. Now, we've done pinch pots together in the past, so that requires you to make a ball of clay with 1/2 of the portion. You're going to take your thumb and you are going to twist your thumb into the clay, creating a hole. Not much of a pot yet. I am going to then take and roll my fingers around the bottom, around the middle, and around the top, causing the hole to get larger as I pinch. What you're trying to do here is get consistent thickness with the pottery. So the walls and the base are the same thickness. A good measure of thickness would probably be around the thickness, but never thinner than the thickness of a pencil. So as I have my thumbs on the inside and my fingers on the outside, you can see it's starting to get bigger. I flatten it. I have a nice base. This I can decorate later. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to tear out. This is what I'm going to use to make the animal for on top of the canopic jar. I'm going to set that off to the side. Depending on how large you want the lid or how big you want the animal, you can ask for more clay if needed. Okay, now I'm going to make the other part. Again, stick my thumb in the middle and twist, and I'm not trying to squeeze the clay, I'm just pinching the clay, hence the pinch pot. Now I need it to be relatively similar in size. And as I'm doing so, I'm thinking about what I want to make. I believe I'm going to take this. This needs to be smooth and it can still be decorated yet. I am going to take and make a duck. And to make this go quicker, I'm just going to take my duck and now I'm going to need to attach the two pieces. This is where you need to make sure you are scratching the surfaces of both pieces, adding a little bit of water, not a lot, and then you're joining the two pieces together. Now that's 2 of the 3 parts that you need. The last part is taking a clay tool and smoothing the 2 pieces together so that there's no seam in between them. This is the only way you are going to be able to make sure that your canopic jar, your animal on the canopic jar, is going to remain where it belongs. Now, this was very quick of me to do. I expect that you'll take a little bit more time, patience, and add a lot more detail and design. Let's take a look at some of the examples from other classes. Well, here we have some examples of some of the canopic jars that other students have made. We have a turtle, we have a dragon, we have a snake, an octopus. Let me get that up there a little closer. Very cool. We have another snake in a different setting. We have a ram, finely detailed. We have a panda. We have an elephant. We have another turtle. We have an owl. Woo, woo. And finally, a platypus. Let's review on how to make canopic jars. Step 1, tear the clay ball into 2 pieces. Step 2, insert your thumb towards the bottom of the clay half. Step 3, pinch the walls to the correct thickness. You want to start at the bottom and work your way up, making sure you make several rotations, not trying to do it all at once, so that you have consistent walls that are about the width of a pencil. Step 4, tear the second half into 2 pieces. Step 5, repeat steps 2 and 3 to make a lid that will fit onto the bottom portion of the jar. Step 6, Sculpt your animal, which you will attach to the lid, remembering that you need to scratch, slip, and smooth. Scratching both sections, adding water to it, and smoothing the two pieces together so that they're seamless. Step 7, put your initials on the bottoms of each, the bottom portion of the jar and underneath the lid. Step 8, well, that's where you get to start making your cartouche. You will be provided with some more paper and have fun making your name in hieroglyphs. So I hope that was a fun lesson for everybody. I hope you enjoyed making ceramic canopic jars. I hope you learned a little bit more about Egypt, and I hope you had some fun. I'm going to now go take a walk in the desert. Has anyone seen my mummy?